Good evening, sir. So we have this small group discussion. So we have some questions from that. So I'll just read it out. So the group number 1, questioner, two-part question. Define oneness or Aikyam. How does one understand oneness in the absence of duality?
Yes. Repeat it again, once more. Slowly also.
Yeah. Define oneness or Aikyam.
Right.
Define oneness or Aikyam. How does one understand oneness in the absence of duality?
Aikyam is merger. In English, we have to call it as oneness. Are you able to hear me? Rishika. Aikyam means the merger. Aikyam means it is not the river entering the ocean. That is not Aikyam. When we say merger, it is the merger of gold and the ornament. That is Aikyam. Understand the difference. First thing. Aikyam means oneness. Oneness implies a merger. And whenever we talk about merger, we have to say two things now. What are the two things? Apuryamanam machala pratishtam, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, where it is like the river entering the ocean. When we talk about Jiva Brahma Aikyam, the essential oneness between Jiva and Brahman, here the word Aikyam will not be used should not be used in the sense of oneness, even though in English we have to translate it as oneness. Then what does Aikyam means? Aikyam literally means the ornament merged with the gold. Previously there are two things now. What do you see? There is the Nama Rupa and then there is the Adhisthana. Again I repeat, you see two things. You see the name and form and then you see that which is supporting that name and form. So even though for understanding purposes it appeared like two, first of all the two itself is wrong. Are you able to follow? Calling it as two itself is wrong and then we cannot talk about merger after that. So what do? We take that stance that where the two itself isn't there. But I am seeing two things. What are the two things? There is the name and form and then there is the Adhishthanam supporting that name and form. There is the Nama Rupa and then there is something that is supporting that Nama Rupa. And when we say supporting, again the problem. Again supporting word has a problem. What is the supporting word? Supporter and the supported difference comes. How to offset that? To offset that we say no. It is not supporting like the chair is supporting me. I am sitting, the chair is supporting. It is not that kind of a support. Then what is it? It is like the gold is saying, I support the ornament. At the elementary level, gold supporting the ornament will make sense. And then if you penetrate deeper into the matter, we find out gold is not supporting the ornament. It is gold that is appearing as the ornament. So from support, we are moving into appearance. Are you able to see the shift now? At one level, we say it is support. From support, we are moving into appearance. That also have to be left behind. Now what word you will use now? What word you will use? The word that you will use is Aikyam. The gold and the ornament became one. That is the connection. Are you able to follow? But the English word Aikyam, the English translation to the word Aikyam always was spoken as oneness. The two should become one. The two should become one. The two should become one. The two can never become one. The two understands there was never the two. So Aikyam here implies what? Aikyam here doesn't imply the two becoming one. Aikyam implies there was no two. There was no two as in gold and ornament wasn't two. Even though from one angle you can call it as two, in reality you understand it was never two. That is Aikyam. So what is the definition of Aikyam? Merger. So first meaning is oneness. When you ask the question on oneness, the answer will be that word oneness is wrong. We will move to merger. Then you will ask a question on the word merger. Then we will say, understand what is merging. What is merger? Ornament merged with gold. For a person who is used to understanding everything in duality, it makes sense to say that it is the gold and ornament, it is the ornament that merged with gold. Even though fundamentally these two, the duality never existed. But then what are you saying? Nama Rupa, the name and the form. You follow Bharat? So Aikyam means merger. It is not the non-two becoming one. It is a simple recognition that the one was misunderstood as two. The one was misunderstood as two. Now it is reversed. That is Aikyam. That's why the Brahma Vidya, Vedanta Upanishadic knowledge is called Jiva Brahma Aikyam. Aikyam of Jiva and Brahma. Is okay, Bharat? Huh? You have any other clarification on this Aikyam?
No, Guriji.
Yeah.
No, Garrett, so far it's okay.
Yes.
We'll have to think through this again.
Yes. Good.
But the basic premise on which this question was asked
Yes.
was the understanding that everything which we see, understand, experience, etc., which is the basis of our understanding, when we use our senses, is based on the dvandvas, or opposites, pairs of opposites. So, in that context, I was a little confused as to how to understand Aikyam or oneness.
Onwards.
And so, like, for example, our group also gave me some good examples as to how to go about it. What you said now, that there is nothing like duality, right? It's only one.
Once.
So basically, why do they explain this concept of duality then? Is it for example, if there's only oneness,
Yes.
then why do we have to use duality for our understanding itself?
Yes. Duality has to be explained because, first, why duality has to be there? Now, duality is what we are, in fact, plurality is what we are experiencing.
Yes. Sorry, that is correct.
In fact, technically speaking, what we are experiencing is plurality. So, from plurality, moving into duality itself is a very big jump in thinking. from duality to recognizing that duality itself is imagination is the Aikya. Then why do they have to talk about it? Because how do we understand when you are seeing the plurality to connect it with what they actually want to say? So what do? They come to our level and pick us up from our level. So from the level of plurality, an explanation will be given. It doesn't stand the test of logic. The plurality explanation will not stand the test of logic because on deeper scrutiny, plurality ceases to exist. How it ceases to exist? Verse number 14, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. It is agama payanaha anityaha. They keep coming and going. By the time you say what it is already gone. So you really cannot see. So by the time you can say this is it is already changed. But then you are seeing it. The senses are perceiving it. It has to be told in that manner. Why? I'll explain to you technically briefly. The first pramanam is the senses. It's called pratyaksha pramanam. It is the senses that tell us what is happening around us. If the senses aren't there functioning, we will not know what is happening around us. So it is the senses that gives us the first data. Pratyaksha pramanam it is called. Okay. Having given this pratyaksha pramanam, as long as thinking doesn't function, pratyaksha itself becomes a pramanam. What you see is what it is, there's no problem after that. What you see is what it is, there's no problem after that. So, pratyaksha pramanam itself becomes the ultimate. You see it and that's it. Why do you even bother questioning? Why do you even bother thinking about it? But human being, necessarily the intellect will function. It's an instinct. Questioning is the instinct of the human being. So what happens when the questioning starts? What is obvious ceases to become obvious. Then the secondary pramanams comes in. What are the secondary pramanams? Inference and other things. Anumana, upamana. Inference, comparison, all that comes in. To make sense of what we have perceived through the senses. What we have perceived through the senses on scrutiny doesn't seem to make any sense. Lot of paradoxes in it. So inferences and the comparison seems to bring a kind of understanding. It brings a kind of clarity. For most, thinking stops at this point. Then what happens? Then the third level starts. What is the third level? Intellect being to explore, it says, is there anything beyond me? That exploration starts. When that exploration starts, pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, all that becomes redundant there. Shabda becomes the pramanam here. Pramanam means the authoritative source of knowledge. That authoritative source of knowledge, what is Vedas, Vedanta? Tell us what? What the senses teaches you, what the intellect teaches you, they are all at one level you say it is there but temporary. At another level you say it isn't there at all. So at one level you have to say it is. When you say it is agama payanaha anityaha, what is accepted? What is the inference in that statement? It is agama payanaha anityaha. Agama payanaha anityaha means they come and go, they are impermanent. It is there. It is accepted that it is there first. That's a satisfaction. At least now they are also accepting it is there. Then they take it to the next level and say, it isn't there. It is not there means what you see is not what it is. Who can teach us that? A different pramanam teaches us that. And that pramanam comes and tells us it is aikyam, oneness. That's how the connection happens. You follow Bharat? That's how the connection happens. So, aikyam happens from this side. So, we understand the word aikyam from this angle. Okay? It's a pramanam. A pramanam based on somebody who has seen it. And on what basis do we accept that as an authority? Because all my sources of perception, inference, comparison has become a failure. Since all this has become a failure, I have no choice but to accept it. So till we understand this is a failure, that can never be accepted. So much of logic and reason is given not to prove the Veda Pramanam. So much of logic and reason is given to say, this Pratyaksha Anumana Upamana, the perception, inference, comparison is false. That's how the whole sequence of thought flows. Are you able to follow? The word pramanam makes the difference. Just that one word pramanam, question gets answered. But I have to show off. Say so many things and then give the final answer. Okay, Bharat? Yes. Raj.
Question 2 from group number 2, questioner Ganesh. Why can't we replace the word whole with infinite? Because the understanding of Brahman and world is with respect to time, space and causation only. I repeat.
Yes, please, slowly.
Why can't we replace the word whole with infinite? Because the understanding of Brahman and world is with respect to time, space and causation only.
Questioner?
Ganesh.
Group 3. No, I'm saying we'll go to group 3. Yeah, I'm saying we are going to group 3. Ignore him, I'm saying. Oh, someone. Yeah. What all we didn't say, he's saying. I never said time, space, causation, no, this morning. Did I say? No, sir. I never said. I will not say. What all I didn't say, he's saying, and then he's asking a question. How we will take that question now? I can clarify what I said, no, Ash. He's saying something and he's asking me to clarify. That's why I'm saying let's go to group 3. Ganesh.
Yes, sir.
What is your problem?
You said don't use infinite.
Yes.
Because you get stuck.
Correct.
But our thinking always is related to the 3 elements of time, space and causation only. We are not able to comprehend the whole.
Yes.
Only when we break down elements of time, space, causation, we get some idea what it is. What infinite is, not whole. So why are you still using whole?
Whole.
You ruled out whole.
Yes. Yes.
I am asking this question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. He's saying correct yourself and speak properly, he's saying. That's all he's saying. Point taken. Yeah. I will correct. Morning class, we'll correct it tomorrow. The wholeness is a word which is more relatable to your present experience and the wonderment of that state. That's why. Infinite is a concept which you can't relate with. Whole is something that you can relate with your current state, and then that state gives you a wonderment. That's why we use the word whole. Always the sense of lacking something is there. There is always a sense that I lack something. I am missing something. Always I am missing something. And how much ever I fill that, it is not getting filled, isn't it? Remember that story? The skull? Remember the story, skull? Begging bowl. The saint had a begging bowl, and that begging bowl had a unique property. The unique property of that begging bowl is whatever you put inside, it's a small begging bowl. Whatever you put inside consumes everything, it is always empty. So he threw a challenge. The challenge that the saint threw was, can anybody fill this begging bowl? And it's a small begging bowl. It's not like big, what they call as urli and all. Small begging bowl, like this cup it is. Small bowl. The king came, the king took the challenge, he brought the entire treasury, the grains, everything was filled, and it's still getting empty. So the person asked, what is this magic? Where are you taking all this? What is this magic that you are doing with this? The saint said, I am trying to figure out what it is. I got a conviction. I was very clear this is a human skull. It was very clear. Now I just want to check it. How to check it? Put everything inside it. It still says, I am empty. It still says I am empty. It still believes it lacks something. Wholeness is a state where it doesn't feel that lacking in something. No addition is required. So, infinite becomes a word that doesn't convey what Purnam wants to convey. The word Purnam doesn't convey that. The word Purnam conveys the wholeness. Wholeness in the sense of not lacking in anything. Not lacking in anything. Wait till tomorrow morning. We have more story to say on that. Yeah. Are you okay, Ganesh, till now? Yeah. And time-space causation, I don't understand. So, that we will leave behind for wise people to discuss. Yeah. Correct, no, sir? Yeah. Are you okay, Ganesh? Yeah.
Group 3. Questioner Bhaskar. Reference poem Polonius' advice to his son, neither a borrower nor a lender. B. Question is, how are we to understand the above statement with reference to taking loans as constructive purposes, for constructive purposes like education, housing, business, etc.?
Oh. These are all constructive purposes. Education, housing. Raj, repeat the question. Please, repeat the question.
Reference is the poem Polonius' advice to neither a borrower nor a lender be.
Yes.
Question, how are we to understand the above statement with reference to taking loans for constructive purposes like education, housing, business, etc.?
What else is left behind? Marriage, car, what else is left behind now? Bhaskar. Pleasant evening we are having, you are irritating us so much. there is no constructive purpose. First of all, when I say there is no constructive purpose means these are all very meaningful pursuits that has to be done. And there is no need to borrow to do these things. There is a nature support. It is happening. There is no need to borrow. See, borrowing happens only when you are comparing. If you are not comparing, borrowing will not happen. We came here yesterday. You should have seen the Mela in the next building. Oh my God. Disco lights and all, it's like lights all over, and I said switch off all the lights and we'll enjoy that. Gala wedding going on. As far as the wedding that is happening there is not a problem. When does that become a problem? When I'm convinced at the end of the session that I should conduct a wedding like that. So I have decided that's how I am going to conduct. And then I look at myself. I am not having that. I am not having that resource. What do I do now? Borrow. So, borrowing stems from where? By comparison. Why do you have to compare? There is no need to compare. Second, for the evolutionary purposes, borrowing is never required. There is a divine support. That's why you will never find a person who is interested in education saying there was no support for education. Do you ever find that? No. There are millions and millions of people supporting those who cannot afford education. Are they left behind? They are not left behind. But if I want to, if I say this is the best place, this is the right place, and this is what the place is, then you have a problem. Are you able to understand the difference? So it is that comparison that makes you to, it is the comparison that makes you to do that. Contentment in relation to the present will never make you to borrow. Discontentment in the present and an inferiority complex because of it is what drives you to borrow. I have to say, my daughter should study in America. As long as my daughter is studying, I should be happy. That's all. Yeah, all that I want is to study. As long as she's studying, it's over. I thought it's over, isn't it? If she's not studying, prarabdha, what do we do? Even there is no problem. As long as she's studying, it is fine. But where and how and this is where this comparison and something that believing that is the right thing. You follow? Education. Is education also you don't have to borrow for education? Are you all okay with it? Nobody needs to borrow for education. Second constructive purpose. Housing. Housing. House not like construction, isn't it? Constructive purpose. House. Again the same concept. Again the same. Loan implies greed. Loan implies greed. What is greed? Enjoy now and pay later. Opposite of that is earn now and enjoy. Again I repeat. Earn now and enjoy. That is alright. Opposite of that is first enjoy and pay later. What is the problem here? Enjoyment is so short-lived, payment is 15 years, 20 years EMI. The joy of the new house is for how long? The joy of the new house is only for 3 days. But the EMI goes on for years. Are you able to follow? So what is loan? Borrowing? Greed. Number 3. Show off. Show off. Upanishad gives that example. The lady goes and borrows the necklace from the neighbors. Lady wear it and go for the wedding. She goes to the neighbor, borrow the ornament, wears and goes to the wedding. Everybody in the wedding knows that it is. Everybody in the wedding knows it is not hers. And who is actually believing that she has duped? And she is actually believing that she has ended up duping yourself. That's why in Shastra they say, don't borrow. Don't borrow. So don't borrow for any constructive purposes. Because very base of it is destructive, there cannot be anything constructive. But the economy says, if you don't borrow, how will economy grow if you don't borrow? For which you have to ask yourself the question, define growth. How would you define growth? In your understanding, what is meant by growth? Define that. Then it will be clear. You follow? So, at any point of time, the question, the idea is not to borrow. Not to borrow. Seriya? Is it okay, Bhaskar?
Thank you.
And anyway, you can't borrow. No, who will give you? I know you, you know me. We both go, nobody is going to give. That's what I'm thinking. Why are you asking this question? Even if you ask, will anybody, if I go on, will anybody give me? Nobody will give me. I know you also. You also go and ask. Nobody is going to give you. Why talk about loan now, Bhaskar? Maybe no questions in your group, I think. I know. That is why Raj asked me, sir, do we take the answers also? I said, wise people answer and all I cannot handle. Let me give my answers and be done with it. Is it okay, Bhaskar?
Thank you.
What happens is, you borrow, see, as it is, we have taken so much. On top of it, it's like adding a burden that is too much to handle in the long run. We are not able to see that far. Those who are able to see that far tell us don't do that. Why? Because the very birth itself is rina, indebted. Since the very birth itself is indebtedness, your focus should be on what? Keep, reduce. You have taken so much already, reduce. Borrowing says, it's not enough. What you have is not, it's not enough. You have, so the very concept here is, you have taken, at birth itself you are a rina. Rina means, Parakumbode, you are so much loans you are having. On top of it, why do you have to take loans? But we don't see it like that. Since we don't see it like that, we keep. So, from the law of karma angle, you are increasing by borrowing, you don't understand your karmas are only increasing for nothing. So, since you already have borrowed a lot, what you should do? First thing is stop borrowing. Then you have time to repay. First is to enough nu sonnada we'll think about repayment. So what they did, learn to say enough. That is what we call as content in the present. You follow? Yes. Seriya? Karma. Because I am so ungrateful to what I am having, that is the karma. What is the karma, you should ask? What is the karma? I am so ungrateful to what I have. And that one thing I am believing it's going to take me to that next level. That one thing is going to take me. What is that one thing? And that one thing isn't there. It is ingratitude. It is height of ingratitude. Is to go on and on and on. Yeah. All these financial experts are sitting here. Yeah. Sunil, Sai, all there are big experts in this subject. Huh? Our Shankar sir, he's a president of, I don't know. All experts. Karma it is. You follow? It's Rina. Rina means you are having already borrowed, having already taken a lot. Why do you have to borrow? Are you okay till now? Now I'm going to conclude. Your conclusion will learn. Now I'll give the last conclusion. Even without you knowing what to ask for, everything was provided already. Even without you knowing what to ask. It's not that we experimented with thousands of wombs and then finally decided this is the best womb. No. At the very first time itself, the womb was perfect. Do you understand that? It's not experiment didn't happen for thousands of years of experiment happened and then finally now the womb, the best womb was created even before we came into existence. So what is there to? What is it that you have to lack in? So even when you do not know what you need, even when you do not know what to ask for, it is provided, it is taken care. It is provided and taken care. When it is provided and taken care, loan is so obnoxious it is. That's why they say don't do that. It's not an economic reason. It is the karma is obnoxious. Because I am not able to be grateful to the providence that what is needed is provided. What is needed is provided. Ramatirtha, make faithful use of what you have. Make faithful use of what you have. The next comes by itself. Because this you didn't ask for, it has come. Similarly, it will come. You follow Bharat? You follow Bhaskar? Yes, Raj.
Group 4, question or issue. Is it possible to not get mentally tired? I repeat the question. Is it possible to not get mentally tired?
Yeshu. She's tired already. Yeah, one lecture she is tired already. Mind gets tired. Mind gets tired because of not knowing certain things. You know these, you know those and live that, mind will not get tired. Again I repeat, all minds get tired now because they do not know a few things. You know those things, mind will not get tired. When I say mind won't get tired means, how do we use the word mind here? That's what it means. How do we use the word mind? Did the group define the mind? They didn't define. Okay. Hmm? What did she do?
Okay, please go ahead.
Please go ahead. Anyway, we know she wouldn't have said anything sensible. So what is the problem? What did she say?
Let her explain.
She said, yeah. See, you are very alert now. What did you say as mind, Meera? You didn't say anything. Okay. First, define the mind. Then it becomes clear. If you define the mind, the clarity comes. What is mind? What is mind? Emotions, impulses, likes and dislikes, attachment. This is the mind. Craving for what it doesn't possess and attached to what it has. While it is attached to what it has, it craves for what it doesn't have. This being the mind, what will happen? This being the mind, it will get tired. Now, as long as this mind is strong and powerful, you cannot avoid getting tired. You follow? Emotions. What is emotions? That which keeps motion. That which keeps changing. Impulses. A sudden strong urge to do something. Unmindful of, there is a thing called consequence. That is an impulse. A sudden strong urge to do an action, unmindful to a thing that there is thing called consequence. That becomes the impulse. So what is emotion? Good, bad, indifferent. All emotions. Then comes the impulse. Then comes the likes and dislikes. Then comes attachment. Likes and dislikes is unreasonable part of the human being. There is no reason why you like it. There is no reason why you dislike it. And everybody will give a reason to why they like something, and everybody will give a reason as to why they dislike something. And all the reasons they give is very unreasonable. Why? Because understand the law. For the mind, it is perfectly reasonable to be unreasonable. That is the mind. Again I repeat. It is perfectly reasonable for the mind to be unreasonable. And it is so convinced about its behavior. That unreasonable behavior is so legitimate as far as the mind is concerned. It says, what is your problem? Whose problem? The world's problem. What is the world's problem? Why can't you simply cater to me? That's all the problem is. When I say stand up, why can't you just stand up? When I say sit down, why can't you just sit down? Why can't you be a unparliamentary words we feel like using, but we can't use. Because it is Upanishadic class, no? So we can't use it. So refined words we will use. Why can't you simply why can't you simply be my slave? Why can't you say, what is your problem? Why can't you be my slave? Other person will turn around and say, okay, let us have an agreement. First half of the day I will be your slave. Second half of the day you be my slave. Oh, demanding, sir. Too much of pressure has come in. What? Because what you demand, the other person says, I also want. Where is the problem now? That's why likes and dislikes are the most unreasonable aspect of human being life is this, likes and dislikes. This way, like a joke we say, when a boy comes and says, or the girl comes and says, I like this person, never ask why. Never ask this question why. Because that why is the most meaningless question. Because whatever the person says as the reason is not the real reason. Why do you like this person? And you know how they introduce, no? The most important person in my life. Suddenly that person becomes very, very important person in my life. Father is gone, mother is gone, everybody is gone, and this person becomes very, we're not saying it's wrong, very important person in my life. You say, why you think this person is important? Very affectionate, sir. But there are 100 other affectionate people. No, sir, they are all there, but this is very... You should feel it, then only you will know. Say, no, I have never felt it, so I don't know. My father said, marry her, I married. So I really don't know all that. So, how do you? You know, Ash, my father said, marry, I married. And she's here. She's sitting in front of me, front row. And the product of that is sitting next to you. What do we do now? So you like this person? No, sir, this. No. What a lovely eyes. Pluck the eyes and give. There are so many people have similar eyes, isn't it? No. Beautiful hair. There are other people also have hair. Fourth question you ask, that person will turn back and say, what's your problem? I just like. The most unreasonable part of human beings' mind is this, likes and dislikes. The fourth one is attachment. Attachment is raga, kama, raga. Kama means craving for what you don't have. Raga means attachment to what you have. Automatically what will follow? Dvesha will follow. So there are three things. Kama, raga, dvesha. Kama means craving for what you don't have. And all these three are like a package will go together. When all this is very powerful, Yeshu, what will happen? Long back, one of the persons here in Chennai, he told me, sir, when I wake up tired, what do I do? Indrikkumbodhe tired arda, what do I do? Go back to sleep again. What else to do? You waking up, you are tired. Are you able to follow? When all these three are unmanageable emotions, unmanageable impulses, unmanageable likes and dislikes, unmanageable kama, raga, dvesha causes tiredness. Isavasyopaniṣad is going to give us a beautiful method. Tatona vijugupsate. There is no vijugupsa. We are going to study that also. The benefit of knowledge. Jnana palam. What is the benefit of this knowledge? They have to say the benefit. No. What is the benefit? Tataha na vijugupsate. When we go there, we will see that. You follow? When all these three are, this is the mind. When all these are unmanageable, it will be tired and fatigued. How to overcome that? When you start managing it, less fatigue. When you are not a victim to it, no fatigue. You are not a victim to it, no fatigue. Otherwise, constant fatigue. You follow? So all this has to be managed. This is the root. Out of this comes the manifestations of hope, expectations, worries, anxiety. These are all the manifestations. These four are the disease. We don't see the disease, we only see the symptoms. Understand it. Based on the symptoms, we understand the disease. Symptomatic treatment. What are the symptoms that we will see? Hopes, expectations, worries, anxieties. Idella irudhuchina, something is there. Fatigue comes. Are you able to follow? Mind this is. What is fatigue? What does mental fatigue means? Mental fatigue means mind refusing to do what it ought to do. Remember that. Stubbornness. There is no fatigue there. It is just stubbornness. What is the stubbornness? Refusing to do what it ought to do, and the most childish elementary way of making an excuse is I'm tired. Toothache I have, stomachache I have. When the child doesn't want to go to school, it will say, I have a toothache. And the mother understands that there is no toothache, there is no stomachache. But the child is saying, is crying, rolling on the ground. Why? Because there is no fatigue there. It is saying stubborn. What is stubborn? I will not yield till you give what I want. Once you give me a hope that you will give me what I want, I will cooperate. That's how the mind works. You're able to follow? It says, I will not. That's where in the 6th chapter he says it is balavat. It is dridam, it is balavat. 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He says it is strong, obstinate, unyielding. Krishna, is there any person on this planet who has managed this mind? Arjuna asks. Is there one guy in this planet? Have you come across, managed this? Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena tu guhyate. Sunil, correct. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena tu guhyate. What all I tell by heart, Sunil will by heart. He follows it to the core. Yeah. I have to look at him, he will tell me exactly. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena tu guhyate. By this practice alone, you will get out of the stubbornness of the... What is fatigue means? Mind is saying, I will not do what I ought to do. That is the whole catch here. It will say, I will not do what I ought to do. Why? Because I am tired. Why? There's no tiredness. I am tired. Okay, now what to do to get out of the tiredness? See, are you able to follow what I am saying? Mind says I am tired, I can't do. Okay, now what to do? Now what does the mind says? If you do, it will allow you to do what you ought to do. Pamper. Are you able to follow? Is there any logic in believing pampering will get you out of fatigue? Is there any logic in the belief that you pamper, energy will come? When you pamper, what happens? It becomes more stubborn. It gets more fatigued. Therefore, this is the reality. Are you okay, Asha?
So I'm asking you as a person, so you sleep only because you get physically tired.
Very uncomfortable question she is asking. Now she is asking me, you are sitting there and talking. Do you know any of this? Have you experienced any of this? You are simply sitting and talking there. That's what she is asking. Correct? No? Raj, that's what she is asking. Answer is, God only knows what is happening. I don't know. When the body gets tired, you fall off to sleep, you come out of it naturally. There's no problem there. Physical fatigue is never a problem. All that is required is a few hours of sleep and you are up. There is a nature's blessing. Mental fatigue is the problem. Physical fatigue, wherever you are, you will fall off to sleep. See, there are people who get so tired they miss the flights sitting in the airport, no? Correct? They go to the airport, they are so tired they miss the flight sitting in the sleeping. How can when you are so tired, nature takes over and you are fresh. There is no physical fatigue, is never a problem. It is always the mental fatigue. You follow? No. When you are mentally fatigued, you cannot sleep. When you are mentally fatigued, you want pampering. Understand the difference. When you are mentally fatigued, you will want somebody to pamper. Somebody must come to you and say, I love you. I am there for you. I will be there always for you. All these dialogues will be given, and then the mind actually starts believing in that. That is where the mind is such a foolish entity, because you can lie and the mind will believe in it. This is a lie. What is the lie? I am there for you is a lie. Take it or leave it. It's a lie. Because it comes under the assumption, what? So many things are under my control and I will be there with you. The unshakable is already supporting. There is the divine that is already supporting. So once you rely on that divine support, you never know any mental fatigue. You follow? Otherwise, when you are mentally fatigued, what do you need? You need pampering, not sleep. What this modern day medicine do? They don't know what else to do. They give medicines and say sleep. Sleep it off. Very good solution. When you have a problem, sleep it off. What will happen when you wake up? Intensity of the problem is more now. You feel, why did I even sleep? And now next day you can't even sleep. You follow what I am saying? Yes. Yes.
In our inner well-being class, right? So you said, don't use your mind, but rather use your intellect. But I've always seen that, I'm used to using the mind and not the intellect. How do I switch from moving to using my mind to using my intellect?
Very good question.
How do I train myself?
Yes. What she is asking is, how do I train myself? The training is, first, I decide what I want to do. I will die doing it. I will not move away from it. I decide this is what I have to do. What do I will do that. I will die doing that, but I will not move away. One. Second, obligation. When you start living life on duties, you will never want to stop doing it. You follow? Likes and dislikes, mind always brings this fatigue. So change it. How do you change it? I will die doing what I ought to do. But I will not move away from what I ought to do. I will die. So what? But it's so painful, sir. So what? That is where Guru is very essential. Because he'll always keep knocking on the head. He'll say, get up. Move. At some point of time, we'll be very irritated with him. Why? Because he is not moving. He seems very relaxed. He seems laughing all the time. And he is telling everybody, that is Yasho's problem. Yeah, that is Yasho's problem. I know what's her, from where she is coming. You follow? So, you tell this is what I ought to do, and you stick to it. Die for it. But sir, we should be objective, no? We should be relaxed, no? We should not be too much entangled in work, no? If you are not doing all this, you are getting entangled in stubbornness and depression. Now we are comparing the two. Between depression and doing it with effort, better to do things with effort than getting into depression. So how do you know the switch from mind to intellect? You fix what you ought to do and you do it. This is what I ought to do and I will do it. Then there is no problem. You follow? That's how you know. That's how you understand the intellect is functioning. Second indicator is, first is you fix a schedule, discipline, you follow that. Second is, you have your roles, you have your obligations. You know, do it. How to do? Jump into doing. That is intellect. Again I repeat. How? Jump into it. Ramatirtha says, take a plunge. Simply take the plunge. Take the plunge. What will happen? Worst has already happened, he says. What will happen to me, sir? Worst has already... Stand in front of the mirror, you know the worst has already happened. No more worst thing can happen. Therefore, what do? Simply take the plunge. Take the plunge. Take the plunge. When you take the plunge, you don't know what's going to happen. When you take the plunge, you don't know what's going to happen. That is the play of the intellect. Not knowing what's going to happen, doing the right thing is intellect. Again I repeat. Not knowing what's going to happen, but doing the right thing is what intellect is. Not knowing what's going to happen means is what we call as, we do not know what the result is. Are you able to follow? Not knowing what's going to happen, you have to do. That is what is called as, do not be result oriented. Not knowing what the result is going to be. But the mind always asks, this is where you can understand the difference. Guarantee of result. Guarantee. Some guarantee, sir. No. Simply, these are all the indicators. Okay? You still remember the inner wellness and all. Good. Very good. I'm assuming, I keep forgetting what I talk. So I'm assuming everybody also forgets. And when they come and refer this, refer that and all, I'm getting confused, thinking, where was it said? Is it okay? Yes.
Group 5, questioner Ritika. What is the context of winding path referred to in today's discussion? I repeat, what is the context of winding path referred to in today's discussion? Ritika.
Rishika. You know Rishi, the male version, Rishika is the female. And she is a Rishi. So Ritika, you should not. Rishika. Rishi is the male. How do you address the female? She. We call them as Rishika. And she is a Rishi. That's why she is asking. How do you understand the winding path? How do you understand the winding path? Winding path means I will suffer and I will learn only through suffering. That is the winding path. Again I repeat. Winding path means learning that happens through suffering. There is a learning, but that learning happens through pain. It's a winding path. Why we call it as winding? Because even though pain and suffering appears to be teaching you something, actually it doesn't teach you anything. So again you start. That's the winding path. Are you able to follow? Pain and suffering makes you believe as though It has taught you something. You have learned something. Actually, you don't learn anything. Why? If only miseries can teach us, we all will be Buddhas now. Why? Because we all have had enough miseries and nothing has been learnt out of it. So what happens? I think my happiness lies in this. I chase. I get. At one point of time, most of you may not know her. What ranking you came up to, Rishika? Number 3? She shows shy to say. Number 3 tennis in the country she was. Rishika. She forgot now. That is correct, no? She even forgot that. Oh, tennis she is asking. So at one point of time, it is that pursuit. And then it turned into something else. In August, it is turning into Chicago, isn't it? August, it is turned already. Chicago. Winding path. You go one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Don't stop, Because every time she wanted to stop, she knows I will never tell her stop. Because every time she wanted, 2:30 in the morning from America, she will call me. So she did, what to do? What to do, uncle? I said, what to do means what? Continue. But 4 months to go. Just 4 months, no? You go through that path, and then what you should do? Now that you are wiser into your past, you investigate that, and then get a conviction that not to repeat that pattern again. That is avoiding the winding path. Again I repeat. You reflect on your past and get a conviction that you should not repeat that cycle again. You should not repeat that cycle again. That is avoiding the winding path. Otherwise it is going through that winding path. Okay, winding path. Getting a hope that you are going to get something and then realizing you got it, but your hopes wasn't met. You got it. It's not that you didn't get it. You got it, but your hopes didn't fructify there. Now that you have done it over a few things, what is avoiding the winding path means? Not to fall into the trap again. Her father asked, one can come, I can come, or Rishika can come. I said, I don't want you sent. I don't want you. I said, send her only. No, sir, but I will also like to come. I said, no, two should not come together. Because I know he will sit next to her and ask, did you understand? After I finish, he will start another. What sir was trying to explain is, he will give his own explanation now. I would have never said it. Correct. This is the winding path, where you reflect on your past and you learn how not to repeat it again. How not to repeat it again. In the Sanskrit text Bhajagovindam, he says, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam. Again and again and again you keep going through the same cycle. Don't you understand the cycle? Aren't you tired of this? Aren't you tired of going through this cycle again and again and again? We keep repeating the same mistakes, we never do any new mistake. That is the winding path. How long will you keep repeating the same mistake? That's what he told me when I was there. He said, at least learn to do new mistakes, he said. Same mistake, don't do. Try to do a new mistake. And I was trying to do a new mistake. And any mistake you do, you know that you have already done it and nothing has been learnt out of it. This is the winding path. You understand, Rishika? This is the winding path. So you learn not to repeat it. More are coming on the winding path. You just introduced this morning. Much more is coming. Tomorrow we are going to start. What is the actual winding path? We are going to start all that.
Group 5, one more question.
How many groups are there? 6. How many more questions are there?
One question in group 6 and one more question in group 5.
Yeah, we'll finish it off.
So group 5, questioner Ranjini, ma'am.
Oh my God, okay, then we will elaborate it. No finishing it off. Ranjini, if she asks, I have to, because she will ask the question and then tell me, should answer for 1 hour. So, yes. What is the question?
What is Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga?
Yes.
How is it connected to Grihastha and Sannyasa?
Yes.
And is related another question. How is mathematics involved in Tarka, Mimamsa and Nyaya?
Nyaya. Pravritti and Nivritti is the Sanskrit word for extrovert and introvert. One type of life is an extroverted life of Grihastha, going out. Another life is an introverted life. So there are 2 lifestyles. Upanishad says, the goal is one, there are 2 lifestyles you choose. Again I repeat. Upanishad says there are 2, goal is one, lifestyle is 2. And you can choose whichever lifestyle you want. And whichever lifestyle you choose, they talk about the pros and cons. That we are going to discuss. Every lifestyle has its own pros and cons. That is why technically they call it as Ashrama. Shrama means difficulty. The Sanskrit word Shrama means difficulty. If it is prefixed with a meaning. If it is prefixed with another meaning. So it is prefixed with If Grihastha means the family life is Ashrama, lot of trouble. Sannyasa, he doesn't say blissful. Since Sannyasa is also Ashrama, because there is difficulties there also. So there are 2 lifestyles. One is a life of a householder, another is a life of a renunciate. 2 possible lifestyles to reach the same goal. 2 possible lifestyles. What is superior, what is inferior? No. Which is superior, you cannot talk about which is superior, which is inferior. Because it doesn't make any sense. Therefore, there are 2 lifestyles. Pravritti and Nivritti. Mantra 1 is going to talk about the Sannyasa lifestyle. Mantra 2 is going to talk about the Grihastha lifestyle. So that is the 2 things. That is answering the first question. We have to wait for mantra 1 and 2 to get over. Now I can say anything, Raj. Because dinner is Rajini and Meera is preparing dinner. So I can say anything to her. Otherwise I have to go to her only after class. No. She said, dinner for you, you didn't answer my question. Now you have come for food, she will ask. So why? Now I have guts. Yes. Anything else she has?
How is mathematics involved in Tarka, Mimamsa and Nyaya?
Nyaya. Tarka means logic. Nyaya means reason. Tarka means logic. Nyaya means reason. Mimamsa is a pure technical word. Logic, reason, analysis. Tarka, Mimamsa, Nyaya literally should be translated as logic, reason, analysis. Of this, Tarka and Nyaya is different. Mimamsa is different. What is Mimamsa? Mimamsa is a specific methodology, a specific analytical method which you employ to decode the Vedas. That is Mimamsa. It's a very specific subject. Very, very highly refined, very sophisticated science it is. That's why you go to the traditional orthodox schools and say, I want to study Mimamsa. They will look at you and say, you want to study Mimamsa? They will not even open up the discussion on Mimamsa. It's a very unique study to decode the Vedas. It's so beautiful. It's so kept precisely. Lot of work behind keeping it precise. Nobody is allowed to tamper with it. Any language, Raj, we were talking last night, no? Any language that people start talking using everyday basis, it will keep. New words will come, old words will go, the same word meanings will change. If the same thing is going to happen to Vedas, then how do we interpret it? Are you able to follow the difficulty here? If it is allowed, what will happen? The meaning keeps changing. And if the meaning keeps changing, then you lost it. So what they did is a unique method was created. That unique method is Mimamsa. Unique method is Mimamsa. I use the word Mimamsa in the morning session because little bit of Mimamsa we are going to do in the 4-day study. Little bit we are going to sample, we are going to try. Just to give that, just to get a flavor of what it is. Beautiful it is. Mimamsa. When you interpret something, you always interpret according to your current knowledge. There are two ways of interpreting anything. When you interpret something, you will always interpret according to your current knowledge. And when the current knowledge changes, your interpretation also changes, the meanings changes, conclusions changes. Mimamsa is exactly the opposite. Wherever you go, whatever you do, the conclusion will remain the same. Conclusions don't change. So, beautiful methodology of coming to the same conclusion again and again and again. How many times you will conclusively conclude? First you say conclude, and then another method, conclude. Till again, conclude. How many times you will conclude? Till you say Aham Brahmasmi. The only time conclusion stops is when you say Aham Brahmasmi. So Mimamsa is a very unique, it's so unique to Vedanta. It is so unique to Vedas, so unique to Vedanta. That's why we keep this as a separate pramanam. The first question that I answered, Bharat, we keep this as a separate pramanam because it's a totally different methodology where the conclusions will be repeated again and again and again. No new conclusion will come, how much ever new data you bring in. Able to follow? Any new data you bring in, obviously conclusion should change. Here, whatsoever new data you bring, conclusions will remain the same. And they will arrive at it also. Anything you say, they will arrive at it. Anything you say, they will say, wait, should have some patience to walk with me. If you have the patience to walk with me, anything you say will keep coming back to that unique method is Mimamsa. That's why we call it as, when we do the Upanishad, we will talk about Mimamsa. When we do Bhagavad Gita, we don't talk about Mimamsa a lot. Because Bhagavad Gita, he takes certain liberties. He has taken the essence of the Upanishads and given. So where he has taken the essence and given, we also take certain liberalities. Because he has taken in Vedas, you don't do that. That's the meaning. Mathematics means a sequential thought flow. That's called maths. What is math? Mathematics. A sequential thought flow arriving at an irrefutable conclusion. That's all math is. A sequential thought flow arriving at an irrefutable conclusion. So anything that you come back, you will keep coming to the same thing again. For it will not change. Math means it has got nothing to do with your moods. Conclusion always has a connection to your moods. Math means your moods have no relevance. If you are happy, 2 plus 2 will not become a different answer. If you are sad, 2 plus 2 will not become a different answer. Your moods have no relevance here. In the world, your moods always play a very vital role in your conclusions. That's why we have to create a mood here. Environment has to be created, conducive environment, this, so many things has to be done for the moods to come. Are you able to understand the difference now? Here, conclusions don't change at all because it has got no relevance to your moods. This is math. Okay? I satisfied her today very fast. Last question.
Group 6, questioner Sunil. How can I take my life partner / significant other also through spiritual evolution if that partner is not interested in Vedanta? So the question is, how does one progress despite the disconnect?
We are all suffering from that, so we know that. So there is no question here. It's a statement of our current condition. Sunil, spiritual path is a single journey. It's not a collective effort. Understand that. 1. Second, nobody has the power to stop you. No power can stop you from the pursuit because it is a singular path. It's not a collective effort. Again I repeat, spiritual growth is never a collective effort. Even when there is a small group of people here, it's not collective. Even here it is singular. Number 1. Number 2, there can never be a common goal for a group. Goal is always individualistic only. There cannot be a common goal. Self-development, self-realization is a singular goal. Therefore, the other need not cooperate at all. And he is just saying for sympathy here. I know she is cooperating a lot. No, he is complaining here for nothing. Otherwise, how will he come here for 5 days? Huh? My wife is saying, I'll take care, you go. So she is cooperating a lot. He wants some sympathy. So he is asking, she is not cooperating. What do I do? Answer is, she is already cooperating. You don't have a problem. If you are not growing, it is not because of her non-cooperation. It is because... Sunil, correct. Answer given. He said, I want to grow, sir, but her non-cooperation, I am not growing. Answer is, she is already cooperating. What more she can do?
That's not his question.
Oh, that's not his question, huh?
His question is, I am growing, how can I make her also grow?
Oh. That is your question. That's not read rightly then. How can I help her to grow? Inspire. By living this life, you can inspire. By living a life of detachment, you can inspire. You can only inspire the other. You cannot help another to grow. But you can inspire. That inspiration becomes a boost for that person to grow. So how can you help the other to grow? Inspire. And how can you inspire? Yadyata charati sreshtaha tattateva itarajanaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Verse number 21, chapter 3. The only way to help other to grow is follow that. Verse number 21, chapter 3. You can inspire. And the way that you can inspire is, words never inspire. It is the way that you live life inspires. Words cannot inspire. If words can inspire, we all should be inspired by now. Words never inspire. But still we have to use words only. But ultimately what is inspiration? From the lifestyle. So, how can you help her to grow? By inspiring. And how can you inspire? When you are living it. When you are living it. When you are living it, how is it that when I am insecure, you are secure? That is the inspiration. Understand that. What is the inspiration? How is it that when I am feeling insecure with everything, that you are feeling so secure? That is the only inspiration. Understand that. How do you inspire? This is how your inspiration happens. So supremely secure where there is nothing. Everything is so conducive to feel insecure, but you are so secure. How do you inspire? Easy to say inspire. How? What is the inspiration? No sense of insecurity at all. That's the inspiration. Because everybody is looking at somebody who can give them that strength. Are you able to follow? What is everybody looking for? A strength. What is the strength? This strength. That. Is there anybody who is sitting secure, saying, I am undisturbed, when there are so many million reasons to get disturbed? Inspiration comes from where you are also in the same situation, the other person is also in the same situation. Both are in the same situation. One is secure, another is insecure. Mundakopanishad. Dvasu parna sayuja sakaya. It says two birds sitting on the branch. Extraordinary metaphor it is. Two birds metaphor. While one bird is enjoying, another bird is sitting in depression. Why? One forgot it has wings. Other knows it has wings. Mundakopanishad gives that example. One bird forgot that it can fly. Another bird remembers that it can fly. Because the bird that remembers it can fly, it's enjoying. The bird forgot that it can. If a bird can forget that it can fly, what to do? If the fish can forget that I can swim, what to do? If the human being says, I am limited, restricted, constricted, I want something, it's like the bird saying, I forgot. It's like the fish saying, I forgot. Are you able to follow, Sunil? This is how you inspire. We conclude for